I'm Captain Logan, and this is day 237 of Spawn Year. Today, Freakadoo finally came back for his scythe. I was starting to enjoy the look of it, amongst the drab gray bricks and the newspaper-laden ground. It may be gruesome as far as decor goes, but compared to what's here, I thought it sort of spruced up the place. I can feel my energy and power levels waning more with each passing day, so much so that I hope to save as much of my blood as possible writing these entries until Tiny Adam West finally returns to replenish my reserves. I don't know how I could possibly hold out were he to wait a full 4 weeks. Roughly 4 cans worth at the rate I have been draining my power. And I find that while my greatest weakness here is addiction, my second may be brevity. Knowing Freakadoo is a creature who appreciates the institution of fair trade, I offered him his scythe back in exchange for a can or bottle of Mountain Dew. Considering his fashion choices and the spelling of his name, there seemed to be a good chance he had access to some. His eyes lit up as I suggested this, as if it never occurred to him that I might be in need of the very thing he had in plenty. Freakadoo claimed to hail from the legendary Forest of Dew, a vast, majestic, serene valley of trees, each filled with cans of Mountain Dew that grew from their branches. It seemed too good to be true, but what did I have to lose? If it was true, and I could strike some ongoing arrangement with the irritating, shifty-eyed lunatic, I'd never have to put up with another of Tiny Adam West's ridiculous challenges. Sometimes I feel like I'm on the stupidest reality show ever. And then I think back to reality shows I've seen and realize that it would be about middle of the pack. Brevity! Okay, he offered me a 2-liter bottle for the scythe, and an entire 6-count box of popsicles. That didn't seem fair at all, but I was also holding ransom, an item that rightfully belonged to Freakadoo. But he had also just done the same to me when we last met. I didn't want a chance wasting more power, especially that much power. But it was an all-or-nothing deal, and I knew it wouldn't be long before I was really desperate. Freakadoo wouldn't bring the dew until he had his popsicles, and if there was any truth to a whole Mountain Dew forest, I couldn't risk losing potential access to it. I mustered all my concentration and, behold, a box of popsicles. I won't knowingly jeopardize my chances of staying in the game, but sometimes risks are necessary for survival here. Freakadoo is off now, supposedly getting my end of the deal, and I'm holding his until he returns. So as I await his arrival, on to the review. I have become so used to the non-existent pacing of the Spawn main title that I really expected we'd keep checking in with DeBlanc on his wild crusade to hunt down Covenant 2 or 3 more times before they finally exchanged blows, but they're already duking it out here. They trade more insults than punches, and wow does DuBlanc know how to dish out a good insult. The language of this period is presented as a lot more powerful and colorful than a lot of today's vernacular. Just listen to some of these jabs. You wretched little dung loaf, you pig-buggering son of sow, you pox-ridden whore dog, that cancerous blight from his cursed mother's belly. After all that, I couldn't help but feel a little let down when he resorts to such simple, uninspired insults like coward. It's a good thing Covenant has the power of hell and soldiers training at his disposal, because if his life and his honor depended on winning a cursing contest against DuBlanc, he'd be screwed. Spawn's got comebacks like, "You're nothing more than a vain little prig who got burned playing at a soldier's game." Not bad and dripping with scathing truth, but it pales in comparison to pig-buggering son of sow. Spawn's gotta ramp up his colorful metaphors and his alliteration. This is an exciting, action-filled issue with several epic moments. DeBlanc shows off his dark power and brutality when he tears through a whole battalion of soldiers and rips somebody's heart out. Ah, an old staple of Spawn stories. It's been a while since we've had a good old-fashioned one-handed coronary, though pretty tame compared to all that incessant violence in the early days. I'm impressed DeBlanc can hold a heart in his hand without getting any blood on himself whatsoever. Liam McCormick Sharp, while I like a lot of his character designs and his faces are distinctive and expressive enough for my taste, is really skimping on the backgrounds lately, to the point where I often forget what setting we're in. He's frustratingly inconsistent about it. 3 or 4 pages of effectively detailed backgrounds, then 4 pages of almost nothing but solid colors. It sometimes seems appropriate to convey mood or emotion, but most of the time it looks to me like he's cutting corners. Immaculata's body is apparently commandeered by an angel who has fought and hunted hellspawns before, but quit for a long time after she decimated a whole city and destroyed thousands of lives in the pursuit of one. She's been trying to absolve herself of her crimes ever since, hiding herself away in a quiet life of solemn piety. That's good. She and Immaculata are kindred spirits, both compromised and broken in their attempts at being what their respective demanding cultures expected of them, but also unable to ultimately fight their natures. The angel couldn't ignore the hunter's call any longer with this new hellspawn, so she possesses Immaculata, I think, and hunts down DeBlanc, mistaking him for Spawn. She beats him up, and fair enough, he was also transformed by evil mystical forces, though I would expect she would know that Spawn's eyes are green and not red, but realizes her mistake before she manages to butcher DeBlanc. Then she pleads with him to repent of his dastardly ways, but leaves him be and says it's the last mistake she'll make. I'm confused about the ending, where Immaculata is standing totally nude in front of a village just after Cagliostro transports Spawn to his castle and warns him about the hunter. It's a reference to the flashback of the angel destroying that city, and I assume that she had left whatever poor girl she possessed, but is that the case now? That would be a little anticlimactic. I'd kinda like to, see Spawn and Immaculata have a confrontation. I really hope Immaculata gets a chance to grow and develop, so she's not yet another excuse for bare backside shots and enormous close-ups of, oddly placed dragon tattoos. Ah, here comes Freakadoo again. And lo and behold, he came through! What? I don't feel well. Diet? That slimy, greasy-haired, maggot-ridden scuzzbucket!